Yo ho, the pirate's life for me. Hello everybody and welcome to my review of chapter 925 of One Piece. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today, starting with the cover for One Piece Volume 91, which looks like this. I mean, look at this. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that great? It's one of the rare covers where we actually see all the Straw Hats together, with the exception of Jinbei. So you can automatically tell that Wano is a very big deal. It's a very important arc. I love the color palette for this cover. I did not expect Otama to have the hair color that she has, but she still looks good. I actually thought it was just generally going to be black. Out of all the Straw Hats, I think Robin looks the best. I'm just, I'm biased, but whatever. And I also thought it was interesting how Usopp was drawn with a katana. It's like Zoro, Luffy, and Usopp have katanas in this cover. I thought it was interesting. I love the clouds. That kind of fits the art style of Wano, and the sakura petals as well. We got Wine Girl Perona making some sangria, which I think kind of makes sense, or it kind of fits the theme, because I've always thought of Mihawk as like a Spanish conquistador, and sangria is a Spanish drink. And it's actually very interesting because it's not usually the case that the cover that is fan requested, like the fan request art that we get, actually matches the canon manga, like the actual chapter. I mean, you can literally view this as like Perona just got done making this like a couple of hours ago, and then she went to go find Mihawk, and Mihawk was reading the news. Also, the person who suggested this, Noda Skywalker, this is not the first time that Oda has drawn a suggestion from that fan. Noda Skywalker has had plenty of other requests for cover pages that actually get drawn by Oda. So I think it's cool, not only that the request got picked, but also that, again, the cover page matches the canon. It matches the opening of the chapter. So we open up in the ruins of the Muggy Kingdom, and I'm pretty sure that some of the layouts there, if you can look at the mountains there, were inspired by Nightmare Before Christmas. We know for a fact that Oda loves that movie. Mihawk and Perona are arguing like an old married couple, and she gets upset because she finds out that Moriah is alive and he didn't tell her, and then they start bickering about food and how many meals they've cooked, and she says, "Yeah, but I've helped you tend your farm," which is actually a reference to a cover page where they're both wearing straw hats. So she's about to leave to go find Moriah, but not before Mihawk is actually nice to her, and she actually declares her love for him, that she's been holding back all this time. No, I'm just kidding. Mihawk tells her that leaving now is probably for the best because an interesting topic was brought up at the reverie, and I think it's obviously Fujitori's idea to dismantle the Shichibukai system and just get rid of it altogether. So what Mihawk actually means is that it's better if Perona leaves, because after the system of the Shichibukai gets eliminated, Mihawk loses his title, and he also loses the perks or the protection from the Marines. Not that he needs the protection because it's Mihawk, world's greatest swordsman, but I think it's more about her. It's like, you don't want to be here if Marines are gonna meddle and they're gonna start coming in and investigate or whatever. Just leave. It's better if you're not here. And actually, if the system goes down, if the Shichibukai system gets dismantled, then that also means that we're going to find out what Mihawk's bounty actually is. Because right now his bounty is frozen because of the perks, right? Because he's a Shichibukai. So yeah, expect the number to drop relatively soon. Yo ho, the pirate's life for me. We go to this pirate island called Beehive or Honeycomb. Jaimini says Beehive. Manga stream is Honeycomb. It looks like a skull, and it also kind of looks like the skull, the rock, has a bandana, because you see like two bits of cloth, like almost looks like they're floating in the wind, but they're actually part of the rock. Those things are attached to the skull. I actually did a little bit of research because some of the houses in that island did kind of seem familiar, so I looked up the name and nothing came up, with the exception of this island called Pirate Island or Pirates Island. And this was actually, according to the wiki, this was mentioned back in the Davy Back fight. According to Robin, she says that that's the place, that island is the place where the Davy Back fight game was invented. And I'm not so sure it's the same island that we see in this chapter, but it actually would make a lot of sense if it was, because Teach actually says, a lot of characters in this chapter say this is supposed to be a paradise. You're supposed to be here to have fun. I feel really bad for Moriah in this chapter, just because he's always getting his ass beat. He's always losing the things that he wants, and then he never actually gets what he wants. And I don't think, I legitimately don't think that Moriah was a bad guy. In fact, I still kind of don't. I just think that you know, he was ambitious. He wanted to become the Pirate King. He was inspired by Goldie Roger's words. And then Kaido killed his crew, and he got traumatized. He went crazy after that. Like, Moriah to me is like a character that has really, really bad PTSD, and he just doesn't know how to cope with it in a healthy way. And to be fair, like, given what we saw that Kaido did to Luffy, I think it's, like, his reaction is kind of normal. Like, you know, he just lost his crew. Like, Kaido literally handed him, like, a massive, massive L. And he just didn't know how to deal with that. So he just went, like, you know, crazy, zombie obsessed. But he actually says it himself. Like, the reason why I lost my crew is because they were all alive. If they were all zombies from the start, I wouldn't have lost anything. So again, but that's like a very unhealthy way of thinking. But it's because of the trauma. So he's there looking for Absalom. His bounty hasn't changed. It's 320 mil, which is actually the same one that Zoro has right now. And I think it's funny because the guy who's talking to Pizarro has a shirt that says leave, which is exactly what he wants Moriah to do. There's a note there saying that it's actually a mistake, that Pizarro is not, you know, he's not the captain of the second ship, he's the captain of the fourth, because Shiryu is the captain of the second. But you know what I find interesting, though, is that Burgess is technically supposed to be the captain of the first ship. I just personally think that Shiryu is like the first Yonko commander. Like, he should technically be the second in command after Blackbeard. But that's just me. You know, but I guess Burgess, like, he was part of the original, like, Blackbeard's original group. Like, you know, Shiryu came in after, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. But yeah, I just think Shiryu is more powerful than Burgess. That being said, this chapter changes some fan speculation because, I mean, one of the most popular theories, like endgame theories, was that Shiryu was going to get Jozu's devil fruit, the diamond fruit, and that he was going to fight Zoro. Because if you remember in the Alabasta fight, after Zoro defeats Mr. One, Mr. One asks Zoro, "Are you going to try and cut Diamond next?" And then Zoro says, "That would be a waste." So apparently Oda is saying, trust in Zoro's words, and that will be a waste because Shiryu doesn't have the Diamond Devil Fruit. So, yeah, so he has the Invisibility Fruit, which belonged to Absalom. So Absalom is dead. I mean, more bad news for Moriah, right? So Shiryu cuts up his zombies and wounds him on the side. It's not a one-hit KO or anything. It's just kind of like, yeah, you can tell it's kind of painful. Like, it's like, oh, God, like, Moriah's touching it, right? But my question is this. How is an Invisibility Fruit... Like, given the fact that we've been, you know, introduced to the concept of observation haki, and observation haki allows you to literally feel the presence of others and other things. Like, how is an invisibility fruit going to be useful in combat? Like, Shiryu can't be using sneak attacks all the time because there's going to be people with observation haki that can detect his presence. Okay, Zoro has observation haki, Sanji has observation haki. Sanji even, like, he said that he wanted that invisibility fruit because he wanted to be able to spy on girls. But Sanji doesn't usually fight swordsmen, and the reason for why I think Shiryu has been set up to be an opponent for Zoro is because Shiryu is literally the moral opposite of Zoro. Like, he has a blade, but he uses it in a cruel way, you know, in a blood-lusting, bloodthirsty manner. Unless Blackbeard actually somehow teaches his subordinates or teaches Shiryu how he can get two devil fruits, and Shiryu actually ends up with the invisibility fruit and the diamond fruit. But even then, we know for a fact that, like, the reason for why Blackbeard can have more than one devil fruit is because his body is different. Marco says, like, there's something about his body that is just weird. We find out that Katarina Devon has a mythical type Zoan, and so I'm guessing that, like, every member of the Blackbeard Pirates, like the crew, is going to have, like, a devil fruit. I'm guessing, right? And these are, like, rare fruits. Like, these are, like, you know, they specifically target people with rare fruits that they can kill and then take. So she can turn into a Kyuubi. She's the nine-tailed fox. And then the Kyuubi can transform into other people. According to Wikipedia, in East Asian folklore, foxes are depicted as familiar spirits possessed, which have magical powers. And these foxes are depicted as mischievous, usually tricking other people with the ability to disguise themselves as beautiful women. So they're shapeshifters. And I kind of want to highlight how rare and how kind of broken this is, because not only can she transform into a fox, like, that's what Zoans do, they transform into animals, but she, in addition to transforming into a fox, she can transform into other people. So it's kind of like she has, like, a Zoan Devil Fruit power plus a Paramecia Devil Fruit power, all in one. I wonder though if the fox can only transform into people who are dead. It's kind of weird saying this, but every time I see Blackbeard in this series, I get reminded that it's actually a manga about pirates. Because, I mean, just look at his design. Like, he literally looks like he stepped out of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland. He is officially the highest bounty in the series as of right now, surpassing Luffy's. He's 2,247,600,000, okay? And, I mean, look at his pants, right? Look at his pants. His belt is his holster for his pistols, for his guns. This hat looks amazing. He kind of has these sunglasses that we see he's lifting up, so I'm kind of curious what he would look like with them on. This is the first time we actually see Blackbeard's post-time skip design in the actual manga. He has these things on his beard, which was actually foreshadowed by the look of his Dendemushi, and he has a couple of chicks around him as well as an old man. So you pretty much get the full-on pirate experience with Blackbeard. This is an actual pirate in this manga. Through and through, all right? And I want to make the comparison very quickly to that shot of him with Whitebeard's introduction. It's literally kind of like the same pose, like Oda drew them in the same way to sort of contrast each other. He starts talking about the war for the thrones, or as Doflamingo called it, the throne wars. And it's interesting because he talks about what's going on in Wano, and my question is, how does news of what happens in Wano get out? Is there like a Wano version of Big News Morgans or something? It's interesting, like it would be interesting to find out because we know it's an isolated country. We also find out about this massive, major clash that was off-panel during the Reverie. Or, you know, we left off and we didn't get to see this, but apparently two admirals, Green Bull and Fujitora, went up against the revolutionary commanders. And we see the silhouettes of Karasu, Sabo, Morley, and Limburg. And they're going up against Ryukyu and Fujitora, and I really wish we could have seen that. Really wonder what Marijoa looks like right now. Is it just a bunch of ruins? Because I do remember that Akainu sent Green Bull up there to try and do something about Fujitora, because he was like, "Yo, Green Bull, you gotta, you know, tell this guy just to stop. He has to stop. He's making us and me, more importantly me, look really bad. So you need to just go up there and do something about this." And so he goes up to meet Fujitora, and Fujitora's like, You wanna try something? Like, do you want to go? And they pretty much both agree that if they actually start going at it, like if they actually start fighting, there's not going to be any buildings left. And then boom, the revolutionaries came up. I did notice, however, that Dragon is not one of those silhouettes that we see there. So I'm wondering what he did. We also know that the revolutionaries were there to try and rescue Kuma. And that's, I think it's kind of implied, heavily implied, that Bonnie was actually also there for the same reason. So given the fact that they have a goal in common, I don't know if like Bonnie is going to like sort of sympathize with them, and then maybe like, you know, next time we see Sabo, Bonnie will be part of the group as well. I'm also interested in finding out what all the royalty did while this clash was going on. Like, did they just like continue talking, or did they just have to evacuate? Did characters like ZP0 get involved? Shanks, Emu, like were they involved in this, or they just like, you know, decided to not get involved? The elders, you know, this seems like a pretty big trigger for things to come. I want you to think about this real quick, okay? What does it say about this show, about this series, that some of the best post-time skip chapters that we've gotten from the Reverie onward, okay, are chapters where Luffy's not even in them? Yo ho, the pirate's life for me. We go back to Wano, Act 2 opens up in Mountain Atamayama because Ashura Doji / Shutenmaru is the head of the Atamayama bandits. And surprisingly, he's clashing with Inuarashi, toe-to-toe. Like, they're pretty even. And I understand why he's upset. I mean, it's been 20 years since anybody, like, decided to give a crap. So I would be upset as well. But at the same time, when he says, like, my allegiance belonged to Odin, not to the Kazuki clan in general, I think it's just important to take into consideration that he's literally... Like, there's a shot of Momonosuke there. He's literally talking to Momonosuke, who is Odin's son. So in a way, Ashura is saying, I don't give a crap about the bloodline. Like, I respect leadership via strength and honor, the samurai way. So if you want my help, you better earn it. Until then, I'll catch you later. There was a character there in one of the long shots of the clash that at first I didn't know who that character was. It actually looked like a ghost or something. But it turns out there's like a panda mink musketeer
I thought that was kind of funny. Otama wakes up in what appears to be the Wano version of a Pokemon Center surrounded by minks and the Tengu guy. We should have predicted this because in the previous chapter, Inuarashi actually found Otama, and we knew that Carrot and Chopper were going to go where Inuarashi was.
The most important part of that scene, though, is that it sets up Raizo to be the one to help Luffy break out from prison. And then finally, guys and girls, the chapter ends with us getting introduced to Sanji's and Zoro's opponents for the arc. King and Queen, the predictions, the deck is complete. These are the last remaining calamities. I wish Oda didn't do these things where he just he gives us a buttload of hype in just one chapter instead of spreading it out, because it's my voice is running out just covering this chapter. I never thought I'd be saying this, but these two guys right here, King and Queen, make Jack seem like the normal one. There's a brief mention by King the Inferno. I know it says King Wildfire. I think he should have been called King the Inferno. But anyway, he tells Queen that apparently he's in charge of breaking the prisoners' wills. So I'm wondering if he's actually, the thing that he's playing with or the thing that he's fixing, is that supposed to be Kid's middle arm? Did he rip it out of him or something? They have to be Zoro and Sanji's opponents, guys. I'm actually kind of curious who's going to fight Jack now. Because look, King has a katana, alright, for crying out loud. Queen is wearing lipstick. And we know Oda loves to troll Sanji with the Okama stuff. So it's just clear as day. The moment I saw them, Zoro and Sanji. It's right there and there. Who's going to fight Jack? Who's going to fight the Shogun? I don't know. But these guys are for Zoro and Sanji. King the Inferno will be Zoro's first challenge post-time skip, guys. Guaranteed. Another thing. I've been saying this for a while. I love how King has wings, because one of the things that I've noticed, and I've said this in plenty other videos, is that Zoro has a hard time reaching targets, reaching opponents when they're up in the air. So the fact that King has wings will be amazing. Very, very challenging opponent for Zoro. And by the way, this is going to raise up another question, and maybe it's a little bit early to be talking about this, but think about this for a moment. If Zoro beats Kaido's first Yonko commander, King, okay? What does that mean about Zoro post-time skip in comparison to Luffy, immediately after? Does that mean that all this time Zoro was first Yonko commander level? If he doesn't train, if he doesn't get a massive power-up out of nowhere, right? What does that mean power scaling-wise? It's going to open up a lot of great discussion, a lot of great cancerous topics. The entire power scaling debate will go up in flames if Zoro actually manages to take down this first Yonko commander, King the Inferno, on his first try, without any training, without any significant power boost, because again, that would technically mean that during Fishman Island, after the time skip, Zoro was already this powerful, because he hasn't had a real challenge in the New World yet. And that would only serve to prove how much Oda loves Zoro. He loves hyping him up. He says that if Zoro was a character in real life, he would be from Japan. King has the same little skulls on his uniform that Shiryu does. I don't know if that means they're connected, related in some way, shape, or form. Regardless, guys, say it with me now. Say it with me. This was a reverie level chapter of One Piece.
Also, if King uses fire in combat, that pretty much guarantees that Zoro's going to have to learn how to cut fire, which was something that we saw Kinemon do back in Punk Hazard. And Zoro looked very impressed and interested in that technique.
Oda and his assistants went out there, they got their hands on the fan speculation, on the fan theories. They took those theories about Moriah showing up in Wano and about Shiryu having the diamond fruit, and they used those theories as toilet paper. That's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, a reverie level chapter of One Piece we got today. Have a happy Thanksgiving weekend. All the best. This is amazing. This is amazing. And the thing is that if you've been a One Piece fan for a while now, you know this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's about to get a whole lot crazier. Blackbeard is on the move. The final 2 calamities introduced. Comment down below what your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys. Like the video if you appreciate it. I'll catch you later. Thanks again. Bye. Yo ho, the pirate's life for me.